Welcome to our series, Fine Poetry, poems that touch deeper chords. Today, Robert Hayden, 1913 to 1980. Biographical notes taken in part from the website All Poetry and Wikipedia. Robert Hayden was an American poet, essayist, and educator. He served as consultant in poetry to the Library of Congress from 1976 to 1978, a role today known as U.S. Poet Laureate. He was the first African American writer to hold the office. Robert Hayden's childhood was a difficult one, living in a Detroit ghetto and often ostracized by his peers, passed from his parents' home to a nearby neighbor's, unable to participate in physical events owing to his nearsightedness. He often spoke of his dark nights of the soul. He spent most of his time reading. Because he was nearsighted and slight of stature, he was often ostracized by his peers. In response, Hayden read voraciously, developing both an ear and an eye for transformative qualities in literature. He graduated college and was guided in his writing by W.H. Auden at the University of Michigan. He intensively researched Black history and folk culture. Hayden's work has been called technically gifted and conceptually expansive. Michael S. Harper refers to Hayden's work as a, quote, real testament to craft, to vision, to complexity and historical consciousness, and to love and transcendence. Raised as a Baptist, he followed his wife into the Baha'i faith during the early 1940s and raised a daughter, Maya, in that religion. As a supporter of his religion's teaching of the unity of humanity, Hayden could never embrace Black separatism. Thus, the title poem of Words in the Morning Time, M-O-U-R-N-I-N-G, ends in a stirring plea in the name of all humanity. Reclaim now renew the vision of a human world where godliness is possible and man is neither gook, nigger, honky, wop, or kike, but man permitted to be man. And here is his poem, Monet's Water Lilies. Today, as the news from Selma and Saigon poisons the air like fallout, I come again to see the serene, great picture that I love. Here, space and time exist in light. The eye, like the eye of faith, believes. The seen, the known, dissolve in iridescence, become elusive flesh of light that was not, was, forever is. O light beheld as through refracting tears, here is the aura of that world each of us has lost. Here is the shadow of its joy. Full moon, no longer throne of a goddess to whom we pray, no longer the bubble house of childhood's tumbling Mother Goose man. The emphatic moon ascends, the brilliant challenger of rocket experts, the white hope of communications men. Some I love who are dead were watchers of the moon and knew its lore, planted seeds, trimmed their hair, pierced their ears for gold hoop earrings as it waxed or waned. It shines tonight upon their graves. And burned in the Garden of Gethsemane, its light made holy by the dazzling tears with which it mingled, and spread its radiance on the exile's path of him who was the glorious one. Its light made holy by his holiness. Already a mooted goal, and tomorrow perhaps an arms space, a livid sector. The full moon dominates the dark. Frederick Douglass. When it is finally ours, this freedom, this liberty, this beautiful and terrible thing, needful to man as air, usable as earth, when it belongs at last to all. When it is truly instinct, brain matter, diastole, systole, reflex action, when it is finally one, when it is more than the gaudy mumbo-jumbo of politicians. This man, this Douglass, this former slave, this Negro, beaten to his knees, exiled, visioning a world where none is lonely, none hunted, alien. This man, superb in love and logic. This man shall be remembered. Oh, not with the statue's rhetoric, not with the legends and poems and wreaths of bronze alone, but with the lives grown out of his life, the lives fleshing his dream of the beautiful, needful thing. The prisoners, steel doors, guillotine gates of the doorless house closed massively. We were locked in with loss. Guards frisked us, marked our wrists, then led us into the drab rec hall, splotched green walls, high windows barred, where the dispossessed awaited us. Hands intimate with knife and pistol, hands that had cruelly grasped and throttled, clasped ours in welcome. I sensed the plea of men denied. Believe us human like yourselves, who but for grace we shared reprieving hidden words, revealed by the godlike imprisoned one, whose crime was truth. And I read poems I hoped were true. It's like you've been there, brother, been there, the scarred young lifer said. I close with a poem that I've read many, many times. Poignant, soul-touching. Those winter Sundays. Sundays, too, my father got up early and put his clothes on in the blue-black cold. Then with cracked hands that ached from labor in the weekday weather, made banked fires blaze. No one ever thanked him. I'd wake and hear the cold splintering, breaking. When the rooms were warm, he'd call, and slowly I would rise and dress, fearing the chronic angers of that house. Speaking indifferently to him who had driven out the cold and polished my good shoes as well. What did I know? What did I know of love's austere and lonely offices?